It's interesting how much casual idleness at home differs from that forced on you somewhere else. I was watching TV, flipping through the Shakespeare and Japanese magazines, walking back and forth, and spent several hours watching Japanese people as they were, as always, rushing somewhere on the street. I boiled the spaghetti, seasoned them with a stale bologna sauce. Bolognese? Bolognese? Bolognese. Bolognese. Bolognese? Bolognese. Bolognese. That I found in the utensils drawer and ate, examining the strange design on the kitchen tiles. It had long grown dark outside, and I was about to go mad with boredom and uncertainty when finally I heard the sound of a key turning in the front door. Catherine's mother returned in a foul mood. That Ito of yours. She threw it back on the table, realized what she'd done, took a cigarette pack out of it, smoked, took a deep breath, and dropped the ash into an empty cup. If I had known how troublesome he'd be, he'd never have come anywhere close to the project. I found seeing Cheryl Winters like this more pleasant than her usual disaffection. At least I could confidently say there was some progress. Ito is as mine as he is yours. I didn't mean... Oh, forget it. Is there anything left to eat? I thought you were going to buy something. Had other things on my mind. She snapped back, but immediately stopped herself, as if she realized she was taking out an innocent child. Sorry, it's just been a terrible day. There's spaghetti, that's all I found. I smiled apologetically. Of course, the dinner wasn't particularly sophisticated, but Mrs. Winters ate everything silently and even thanked me. Will you tell me what you learned? She sat on the sofa and lit another cigarette while I stood at the window. They say they took Catherine for her own safety. Allegedly, the KGB is spying on me, and Catherine could be in danger. What nice reasoning. The Mukden incident, no more, no less. So what are they demanding? Nothing, for now. At least. They just want to tick me off. Which they were clearly pretty good at. They can't. They don't have the right to threaten me. They're just Japanese. They're only foot soldiers and should know their place. Never seen her this angry. But they can't keep Catherine for... When will they let her go? Apparently they're trying to get some concessions with the project. She raised her tired eyes at me. Anyway, it's none of your concern. Enough for today, it's late. Ms. Winters put out the cigarette and stood up. You can sleep on the sofa. It was hard to fall asleep in a stranger's house, and I kept tossing and turning, every time bouncing on the awful spring cushions. I tried to remove them, but sleeping on the wooden plank with nails sticking out of it, that was even worse. I remembered us having a sofa like this back in our old apartment in the USSR. I liked jumping on it, but otherwise it looked extremely old and was nearly broken. And then there was the unbearable noise from the street, the cars, the sound of ventilation, the strange shouts. The window, like a projector, flashed with all the colors of the rainbow, all because of the neon signs that twined around the walls of the surrounding buildings like poison ivy. The obvious downsides to living in the city center I had never known about. Fuck yeah, let's go. October 1st, baby. What you got for me? Sleep well? I had been dreaming about Catherine, but her mother woke me up so unceremoniously that the dream immediately faded in the bright rays of the morning sun. I opened my eyes. The view seemed to have changed over the course of the night. What happened? I pulled myself up and looked around. I was in Catherine's bedroom, in her bed. Apparently the sofa springs got the best of me last night. Sorry, it's just that your sofa isn't very comfortable. The pillow still smelled like Catherine's shampoo. No doubt. I quickly dressed and walked to the living room. Of course, the situation was awkward, but I had more important things to deal with. Ms. Winters already made her coffee and was reading the morning newspaper. It was 7 o'clock and we had gone to bed long after midnight. You're an early bird. God favors early birds. Do you believe in God, Nikolai? I don't think my religious views matter right now. I guess not. Have you decided what you're going to do? The American government doesn't negotiate with terrorists, and the Japanese are behaving exactly like terrorists. Besides, even if we play along, it might result in even bigger issues. Bigger losses. Suddenly her expression soured and she stared into her cup. Moreover, I'm not authorized to make decisions like that anyway. I'll have to talk to my superiors in Washington. If I understand you correctly, you're saying that Catherine's life is an acceptable loss to them? National interests always take precedence over individual lives. Suddenly Mrs. Winter smiled. But don't worry, I won't let anything happen to Catherine. So I'll have to spend another day just sitting here? My own helplessness made a wave of primal fury rise inside of me. Unless you're planning to meet with Ito in the near future, yes, that's your best option. I hope you're right. We've run out of spaghetti and I haven't found anything else in the kitchen. You can order something to eat. She took out her wallet, threw a few bills on the table. But be careful. I'll ask them to leave the food at the door. Attaboy. Life was boiling on the other side of the window, the TV displaying an endless series of bizarre shows only the Japanese could really appreciate. Even having lived in this country for 10 years, I still can't understand what was happening in most of them. When you feel bored, overeating is a great way to spend time. I ordered food from 3 different restaurants, and by noon, the springs of the cursed sofa were under much more pressure than the night before. I also found a bottle of whiskey in the kitchen yesterday, but at that time it made me feel nothing. But the stupider the shows became, the stronger was the allure of the firewater, or to be more precise, of the American bourbon I'd never tried before. First I just walked to the kitchen to get some water. Then I opened the cupboard with the bottle. Stared at it for a long time and couldn't bring myself to take it out. It wasn't full, but there was enough to get shit-faced, sleep on it, and then have a full-fledged hangover by the time Catherine's mother would be back. I know who would have won in the end, my conscience or the Kentucky bourbon, because the ring of the doorbell interrupted my internal conflict. I shuddered. As far as I remembered, I hadn't ordered any more food. Perhaps it was someone looking for Mrs. Winters, and they would leave once they realized there was no one at the home. Fortunately, the working TV was totally giving me away. I sneaked into the living room on tiptoes and carefully turned the sound off. The unwanted guest wasn't even thinking about leaving. Over the course of 2 minutes, they rang the bell at least 5 more times. Finally, someone knocked on the door and I heard a familiar voice. Himitsu's voice. Nika-kun? Nika-kun, I know you're there. Nika-kun, open the door, we need to talk. The house was new and the floors in the apartment didn't creak. I silently approached the front door and looked through the peephole. There, indeed, was Himitsu, and at the first glance it seemed like she was alone. The middle door inspired confidence, and I doubted anyone would try to break through it in the middle of the day anyway. How did you know I'm here? Nika-kun, please open the door, I'm scared. I'm not going to open it until you explain what's going on. Actually, I wasn't going to open it at all. Dad told me where you are and asked me to give you this. She shoved me a folder with some papers. As proof that your parents were killed on the orders of Winter-san. Yeah, right. It's true. Himitsu pleaded. Dad wants to protect you. That guy in your house, if not for Dad. She couldn't find the right words and in the end just broke into tears. Just a second ago I'd been positive I wouldn't let her in no matter what. I could clearly see the corridor. It'd be hard for someone to break into the apartment. In a couple seconds I'd need to open the door, drag Himitsu inside, then lock it again. No, Nikolai. Nikolai, no. No, don't do it. Stay strong. Why don't your father come himself? I said slowly to amplify the element of surprise and opened the door abruptly. Himitsu appeared in the apartment, but the corridor outside remained quiet. Seemed she really had come alone. I returned to the living room and sat on the sofa. She followed me, looked around, stared at me with giant green eyes, firmly pressing the folder to her chest. I don't know what your father wants from me, but he kidnapped Catherine. We have nothing to talk about until she's safe. Of course, I was curious about the folder, but decided to stick to my guns until the end. Look, Kati-chan is safe. She's even safer there than this woman. With this woman. I scoffed. You're talking about her mother. Following the same logic, you can say that you aren't safe with Ito. Everyone was trying to convince me of their integrity. Cheryl Winters, Ito, Himitsu on Ito's behalf, Michael. Although why did I trust Mrs. Winters so blindly? Mainly because he had nowhere else to go. I just believed blindly that I had no other choice. That a simple school kid was no match for the corporation. Was that really my only possible strategy, or just the most convenient one? I looked askance at the folder in Himitsu's hands. Here. She noticed that and stretched it over to me. I didn't hesitate for long. What would be the point in backing up now? In the folder there was a lot of stamped papers filed with text in English, surveillance protocols, reports, meeting transcripts, orders, administrative notes, and so on. Many of them had the signature of Catherine's mother. I was reading, Himitsu stood there like a statue. There was a lot of information, but the general idea was clear. Cheryl Winters knew about the surveillance of my parents. Moreover, she was in charge of it. In all these documents, they were identified as Soviet spies. Why would spies be allowed to work on the project in the first place? And what conclusion did you think I'd draw based on this? I mentally stuffed the papers back into the folder and threw it on the table. Nika-kun. Himitsu finally flinched warily and sat in the chair. I can't figure out what you and your father are trying to achieve, but if she wanted to harm me, she would have done so a long time ago. Sorry to say, but your dad was much less persuasive swinging his pistol around. And why me? I know nothing. I don't have the documents or information everyone seems to need. Do I have a honeypot strapped to my back or something? Nika-kun, do you think that I didn't let her finish. I don't know what to think anymore, Sunshine. Didn't you make a scene on my porch a few days ago? Of course I'm grateful, to some extent, for knowing that I could have been a father, but I was running out of air and had to take a deep breath. I don't blame Catherine. There's nothing to blame her for. Neither the miscarriage nor having a mother like that. And you aren't the one to blame for your father's sins. Himitsu burst into tears again. By now I was ready to join her, but everything worked out the way it did. And right now, I just want to save the girl I love. I doubt your father intends to help me with that. Especially considering he's the one who kidnapped her. What was even the point of sending you here? Himitsu cast her head as low as she could, as if confessing her sins. Nikka-kun, I did everything I could, she said in a stranger's voice. You could have tried to influence your father. Maybe he would have stopped using innocent people to achieve his dubious ends. Oh, what were you about to do, Himitsu? Suddenly I heard the sound of a key turning in the keyhole. I froze, and Himitsu raised her head and looked at me in fear. Nikolai? I hadn't expected Mrs. Winters to return so early. Although, why would today be the same as yesterday? She took her shoes off, entered the living room, and stopped with an expression of genuine surprise on her face. You've got a guest. Ito's girl. She finally said with contempt. Ms. Winters, Himitsu has nothing to do with all this. Was I supposed to protect her after all she'd done? Was I supposed to trust Cheryl Winters after what I'd read? It was clear she had committed a lot of sins. She never tried to convince me otherwise. Himitsu's papers spoke for themselves. In the heat of the moment, it was hard to draw the right conclusions, but my intuition was telling me that this woman was capable of worse. How did you have the nerve to come here? I'm sorry. Instinctively, I wanted to defend Himitsu, but the voice of my suspicious mind was telling me not to trust anyone at all. Oh, fuck. This is gonna be one of those situations where the obvious answer is the right one. Right? Like, whatever the fucking choice was, yeah. With the agree, refuse. Well, no, with this one, the obvious choice was the right one. Now, what am I thinking of? What choice am I thinking of? There's a choice I was thinking of. I don't know. This one seems pretty straightforward. I don't see standing up for Himitsu as a good thing. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what to believe, guys. I'm gonna be pretty fucking honest with y'all. I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to believe, fellas. I don't know what to believe. But we've saved. Fuck. Fuck, 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 fuck. I'm gonna say nothing. Pop off, Ms. Winters. Sorry. She threw her hands up and smirked. You know, I'm surprised Ito didn't think to show up himself. What a father. Not that Ms. Winters could compete for the Parent of the Year award either. I mean, worse than you. These documents, there's a lot of interesting stuff you forgot to tell me. Grabbed the folder and waved it in the air. Like the fact you were signing surveillance reports on my parents. I don't know what he wants to achieve with this junk. Ms. Winters said in response, if she'd been expecting those words from me. Really now, what did he want to achieve? If it was all, or nearly all, of my acquaintances put money on me believing them. Well, so what? She asked me. I don't know, there's a lot in these documents that... And you must believe your parents are free of sin. Anyway, that doesn't matter right now. You need to go. She looked at Himitsu with contempt. Excuse me. Himitsu stammered and almost ran out of the apartment, leaving the front door wide open. Things didn't go as I'd planned. What did you plan, Mrs. Winters? I finally came to my senses. The burning feeling of shame for not speaking up for Himitsu suddenly cut right through me. Had you planned for Catherine to get kidnapped by the Japanese while you try to convince me everything's fine? She just scoffed in response and left for the kitchen. Sure, I couldn't ignore the information in the documents Himitsu had brought, but for some reason my attitude towards Cheryl Winters didn't change much. Maybe because those were matters of the past and Catherine was still alive. I sat back down on the sofa and stared at the crumpled folder. I didn't know how integrated the CIA, Japanese intelligence, and Kobayashi Corporation were, but thinking about it was pretty strange that Ito ended up with documents belonging to an American intelligence agency. I doubted he'd get a note of gratitude for it. Why risk so much for me? That is, like... I don't know. Because we know in Himitsu's route, Ito was legitimately looking out for Himitsu. But in the end, when he actually saves Nikolai at the end of Himitsu's route, he's doing it because Nikolai cares about Himitsu, but Ito knows that now Nikolai really doesn't. So I didn't even leave that chance up to fate. I didn't pull up the coin. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with what sounds right. Don't pick the pro Himitsu option. And maybe that was the wrong move to make. Because that's the thing. Cooperating with Ms. Winters in the past has cost us dearly. So I don't know. Everyone drinks coffee. Liters, even gallons of it. 5, 10 cups a day. I cap out at 1, thank you. I never understand what people see in it. Just another drug, if you ask me. Yes, caffeine is a drug, sir. You're right. It's not a hard drug, you know, but caffeine is absolutely a drug. Or, not necessarily a drug, but an addictive substance. I don't know if those are technically one and the same, but she spent some time looking at me like an idiot and took a sip inside. Whatever it is you're thinking, Catherine had nothing to do with anything. She's not connected to my work and had no idea what I do. I kept silent. Apparently Ms. Winters misinterpreted my reaction for some reason and rushed to make excuses. I don't personally care what you think, but since you're so important to Catherine, you can blame me if you want. Go ahead. You're not the first and won't be the last. You actually the one to blame, Ms. Winters? I asked carefully. Nikolai, your parents were spies. Double agents, if you will. You can't protect national security and keep your hands clean. So you're the one who killed them. It'll make you feel better if you accuse me of all the mortal sins. It'd make me feel better if I knew the truth. Everyone has their own truth. Everyone believes that what they're doing is right. It's all about your point of view. Ms. Winters, this is all just sophistry. I was trying to figure out what I was feeling having read Himitsu's documents. But I found no resonance in my heart. It seemed that I had long known the terrible truth. I'm a diplomat. Sophistry is my job. She suddenly smiled. Not afraid at all. What would I be afraid of? The two of us here, alone, Japanese intelligence already looking for me, and after what I've just found out... Nikolai, watch yourself. Catherine's mother smirked with contempt. I might have been a woman, but Michael had been quite successful in giving my self-image a reality check. Good. What if she had a gun? I'm sure she has a gun. You aren't even denying it anymore. Would it help? You've already decided everything for yourself. What's the point of trying to change your mind? I have nothing more to do here. I'm not keeping you. When she put it that way, I actually felt no desire to leave. Because beyond that front door lay the unknown. In this living room were only sins of the past that could no longer be changed. Ms. Winters, don't you think you at least owe me at least something after everything that's happened? If you hadn't taken Catherine away that time, by now you could have been a grandmother. We barely discussed Catherine's pregnancy. It's hard for me to talk about it, and as for her mother... Oh gosh, now wouldn't that just be wonderful? You don't care that she lost a child. Nikolai, what's the point of discussing this now? Do you really think not talking about the problem will solve it? I don't have any problems. Apart from Catherine's disappearance, your conflict with Ito, and however many other things that exist but I don't know about. I grinned maliciously. I thought you were about to leave, Nikolai. Are you kicking me out? Apparently I struck a nerve. You kicked yourself out when you let Ito's girl in. Okay, and what next? I don't know what you're going to do next. It's not my concern anymore. Not that it ever was. I can't go back home, can I? I think Ito needs you alive, but not necessarily sound. Thanks for the encouragement. Honestly, it seemed like I had gone too far, and it would have been safer to stay here. You're going to show me the door, just for telling the truth? Unfortunately, I don't need to explain my decisions to you. It didn't look like there was much I could do. Angering Cheryl Winters wasn't the best idea. Well then, goodbye, I said and walked out of the apartment. So now every bridge had been burned, and I had no way back. God damn. Unfortunately, with that, I am going to end this recording session here for tonight. Whew. Things are getting spicy on this one. Like, the government intrigue didn't really kick up to like right at the end of Himitsu's route, and it got a bit spicy there. There were shootouts and whatnot. There was definitely shootouts. Was there explosions? I think there was explosions. There were definitely cars getting shot up. People getting kidnapped. You know, things got spicy, for sure. There was the whole, you know, smoke grenading Ito's house and getting Himitsu out of there. Sure. God, this one's just... Fuck, it just goes. It's deep in the... That's the thing, he keeps going to like each of his enemies. The only one he hasn't gone to is Kobayashi. I mean, wouldn't want to after he fucking sent a fucking hitman after him, but... I just don't know what to think anymore. I don't... Just in terms of like what's going on with the story, like I think the story's good, but like as to like what is going on, what's going to happen next, I'm stumped. I can't even hypothesize anything. I just don't know. What was he gonna go crash with Kyosuke? He's gonna go crash with Kyosuke? Is that the next move? That seems to happen at some point in these routes. It happened with Kagome. At one point, he wound up at Kyosuke's place. Happened with Himitsu. He spent a couple nights at Kyosuke's place. I mean, he's a neutral party. Ain't no one going after him. Kyosuke? Oh, I don't know. I just don't know. All I know is I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm excited to see how it all wraps up. I truly am. Catherine's route has been very, very interesting. I've been really enjoying it. And I'm sure in the next recording session we'll be wrapping it up. I'm sure of it. But for now, it's either going to be a quick jump cut or new video. But regardless, I'll see y'all in the next one. Till then, peace. What is up, everyone, and welcome back to even more Love, Money, Rock and Roll. In the previous recording session, we started in on Catherine's route. I believe we started it in the no, the previous one is when I started it, but the previous one is when we really got into the meat of it. We really started, seeing all the new stuff. And, big moments. Catherine got kidnapped. Apparently there's going to be a point in all these routes, I guess, where someone disappears. Someone gets taken away somewhere. Because, we're 3 for 3 now. I can only imagine that during Ellie's route, she's going to get fucking scooped up again. Because in Kagome's route, Kagome ends up disappearing after she goes to confront Mr. Kobayashi. All of a sudden, oh, she's gone. I can't see her. Can't find her anywhere. It's crazy. Where'd she go? And then Himitsu's route, her father scoops her up, takes her away. Doesn't want her anywhere near Nikolai, Poof, gone. And now Catherine's route, she gets kidnapped by some foreign entity. We believe it's Japanese intelligence. We don't know for sure because we don't know who to trust. So everyone's getting kidnapped. But now, like I mentioned before, Nikolai has no idea who to trust. Because Kobayashi sent an assassin. Right, because they were... Oh, my God. I just got hit with remembered a whole lot of shit, right? So they were trying to pressure Ellie because Ellie drunkenly said something to Nick about her grandfather possibly having Catherine. So then Nick and Michael try to put pressure on Ellie to confront her grandfather. Michael has some weird fucking blackmail. Michael's a lot more weird than we thought. He's been really good at hiding it thus far. And they try to convince her of that. Nikolai goes home. Kobayashi sends a hitman on Nick. Himitsu's father shows up, kills the hitman, and then tries to threaten Nick. If I remember correctly, he's sitting there threatening Nick. And then Himitsu shows up at the house, because of course she does. That's when Nikolai bolts and gets away from there. And then he goes and stays with Mrs. Winters, Catherine's mom. And then now he's fucked that up because he wasn't able to, not let people in the house as, you fucking shouldn't when you're in this situation. So now, where we're picking up, Nick is all on his own. He has no one he can trust. His girl's been kidnapped. And he's just got no one on his side other than Kyosuke, probably. I'm sure at some point we're going to turn to Kyosuke for something. In fact, I think... Has he already? I don't remember for sure. But yeah, without further ado, let's jump back into it. So now every bridge had been burned, and I had no way back. However, I wasn't all blaming myself for what I'd done. Catherine's mother wasn't particularly eager to tell me the truth anyway, and would keep looking for Katya even without me. I wouldn't be able to help anyway. But just sitting in the dark and hoping for others to do something was unbearable. Besides, I had nowhere else to go. I called Michael from a telephone box. This time he picked up. Hello. The line could be tapped, so I was trying to be careful. It's me. Everything went to hell. I can't go home. Okay, tonight at 10. Come to the place where you used to meet with Catherine. Extremely fortunate of him to remember that. And very good I told him about it that time. Understood. I hung up and ran away from the telephone box as quickly as possible, as if the 5 seconds of our conversation lasted our conversation lasted for were enough for the Japanese to locate me.